You're listening to Motherhood in Between, the show for moms who want to rebuild their bodies, reclaim their energy, and keep pursuing the lives they're called to during the season between babies. I'm your host, Lauran Saunders, registered dietitian, mom of 2 and counting, and founder of Nourished Moms Collective. I help moms recover from their last pregnancy, prepare for their next one, and support their bodies and ambitions in the in-between season of motherhood. Because motherhood shouldn't mean depletion, and your dreams don't disappear when you become a mom. So whether you're rebuilding your health, rediscovering your identity, or growing something meaningful alongside your family, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. You know your child's shoe size. You know when their next dentist appointment is. You know which of your kids likes the blue cup and which one likes the pink cup with flowers on it. You know what's left in the fridge and what needs to be thrown out. You know when you are almost out of diapers and it's time to order or pick up more. You know that school picture day is on this specific day and what outfit you want your kids to wear. You know the birthday gift that still needs to be ordered. You know it. You know it all. You know this. And you are carrying all of that while making breakfast and trying to remember why you walked into the laundry room. People often think that motherhood is physically exhausting, and to an extent, it most definitely can be. However, for many moms, it is the constant mental load that continues to wear you down week after week, month after month, and you wonder why you are so exhausted at 2, 3, 4 years postpartum. And what most women don't realize is that mental load doesn't just affect your mood or how run down you feel. It truly affects your hormones, the energy, your nervous system, and it can have a big impact on your physical health and aging as well. And going into another pregnancy if you know that's on your to-do list. So today I'm going to talk about what the mental load of motherhood is actually doing to your body. Now, the mental load isn't just all of the tasks that you have to do on your list. It's being responsible for remembering all of those tasks, the scheduling of appointments, keeping track of your kids' school activities or neighborhood activities, planning holidays, buying the gifts, planning all the meals every night each week, tracking what clothes your kids have outgrown and when it's time to buy new shoes, which feels like it happens all the time. Every couple of months, I swear, both of my kids need new shoes. And it seems like you are always thinking 3 steps ahead at all times. Now, right now, I actually just got back from a family trip to Disneyland. And in preparation for that trip, my husband helped. He was absolutely involved. But if I'm being honest, I made the dining reservations. I ordered the travel accessories. I packed the kids' suitcases. I figured out what snacks to take. I was thinking through the stroller logistics because let me tell you, a double stroller, like front to back double stroller, and finding a stroller bag that you can gate check, I don't know why that was such a big ordeal. And with the stroller that we have, the Up a Baby Vista, the travel bag that they recommend using actually does not fit the double seats. So it was like a whole thing that I had to think about and plan and all of that. I was making all the plans around my kids' naps and bedtimes and getting work done. And I know so many moms can relate to that. And I am not blaming dads. I'm not blaming my husband. I'm not even saying that I wish he would have done it. Many dads are wonderful and involved, my husband included. The issue is that moms often become the default manager of family life. And that's not necessarily a bad thing all the time. I once heard someone describe the difference between men and women's brains, where a men's brain is more like waffles, where each thought sits neatly in its own little compartment, where you can pour the syrup on a waffle and your syrup will sit in its own little square in the waffle. Whereas a woman's brain is more like a bowl of spaghetti, where you pull one noodle and it's touching 10 others, or a couple others might come with it. So for example, you walk into the laundry room because you need to switch the laundry. But then you notice that, we're low on detergent. And that reminds you that you also need to add shampoo to the grocery list. And that reminds you that you're also almost out of toothpaste, so you might as well buy it now and not to wait another 2 weeks. And then you think, well, I might as well just go to Costco. And then that reminds you that you forgot to RSVP for a birthday party this weekend. So when are you going to go to Costco if you're supposed to go to this birthday party? Suddenly, you have mentally planned the next 3 days while you're standing next to the washing machine. And I actually think that part of this is protective. Mothers are wired to notice details. We are wired to anticipate the needs of our children, of our family, of those around us. And that, I think, is part of the nurturing that we are wired to have. But the problem is that modern motherhood, it gives us far more inputs than our brains were designed to manage. So what do I mean by that? We are dealing with so many things day in and day out. And I will say, I think social media adds a lot to this. And always knowing everybody's business and putting a lot of additional pressure on ourselves because we are comparing to everyone around us. We're comparing our house to theirs, how clean our house is to theirs, that they have their laundry done and I don't have my laundry done. We have so many inputs and our brain just doesn't need to manage all of that all at once, which is the case for so many of us. So all of that is to say, the mental load isn't always that you are doing more in your family, doing the tasks. It's that you're thinking about it more and you're using a lot more of that mental brain space. And let's talk about why this feels so exhausting for moms. Your brain is expensive. It uses a huge amount of your body's energy and resources and the nutrition that you give it. And being a mom, it just asks your brain to stay on all day. And often it feels like your brain just stays on all night as well. So here's an example. If you are going out to dinner, before you had kids, you and your husband could decide to go out. You would grab your keys, you would leave. And you would probably have a fairly peaceful meal together, talking about whatever you want to talk about, enjoying each other's company without big distractions, and then you come home. Now, you're a mom, and you have to think, well, what time should we go? We don't want to go too early and interfere with naps. We don't want to go too late and have it push into our bedtime routine. Are they going to fall asleep in the car? My kids right now, my toddler, my daughter especially, is not one for napping. However, if we drive to dinner at 5:30 p.m., she will fall asleep in the car. Sometimes you're thinking, should I pack snacks? Because what if the kids don't want to eat what's at the restaurant? Do we need to bring toys to entertain them? Do I need to bring a change of clothes just in case something happens? Do I need to pack the full diaper bag, extra diapers, extra wipes? What restaurant is going to be the most kid-friendly? What's going to have something that they actually eat? And the dinner itself might last maybe an hour, you're there. But you've been mentally preparing for it. And when you're there, you're not just sitting having a nice conversation with your spouse. You're usually trying to make sure your kid stays in their high chair and that they're not knocking over the salt and pepper shaker. At least this is my experience when we take our kids out to eat. There is just a lot more going on now that you're a mom, that your brain is using a lot more power. And I think another scenario before kids, you managed your own life, and that was really all you had to worry about. And now you still have to manage your own life, but you're often managing multiple people's lives simultaneously. Your kids, often your spouse, and trying to coordinate with everything else going on. Motherhood is not just physically demanding, it truly is cognitively demanding, and that is the mental load that we deal with. Now, how is this actually impacting my health and my body? It's keeping you in fight or flight. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a big major emergency of the house is on fire, we gotta get out, everybody run, or the constant low grade demands that we experience day in and day out of a toddler temper tantrum, or oh no, I forgot to switch the laundry, I need to hurry and go switch it over so it doesn't start to smell all musty in the washing machine. If you know, you know. Your brain never seems to get a break. And like I said, your body can't tell the difference between our house is on fire and my toddler is screaming. It just thinks that there's an emergency and we need to go. Your body stays alert. And so this could look like you feeling like you're just on all day long, or you have a shorter temper. You feel just a little bit anxious, even though maybe you can't quite pinpoint what you're anxious about. You're easily overstimulated, and you have a hard time relaxing. Even if everybody's relaxing, even if the kids are in bed, and you sit down, you have a hard time truly relaxing, and we often want to numb out and scroll and utilize that time. And a lot of this can reflect back to the first couple of episodes here in the podcast. Now, another way that the mental load is impacting you physically is that it's truly increasing your mineral burn rate. Stress burns through minerals, and I've talked about this a lot, especially in our mineral episode, but we're especially burning through our magnesium, our sodium, our potassium, and our calcium, those big macro minerals that are so important for our postpartum recovery, for our mood, for our adrenals, our nervous system. And when we are burning through that, we feel more fatigued. We have more brain fog where we feel like we're not thinking as clearly. We feel very wired, but we're totally tired. And we just have poor stress tolerance, where things that probably wouldn't have stressed you out 3 years ago stress you out majorly right now. So the mental load, it's not just in your head. This is how your body can start to pay for it as well. And over time, another way it impacts us is that it can disrupt your hormones. Chronic stress can impact our cortisol, it can impact our blood sugar and our insulin signaling, our thyroid function, and all of that can trickle down into our reproductive hormones. When we are stressed out, when our body thinks that the house is on fire or that you're running from a bear or a tiger in the wilderness, it's not going to want to prioritize your menstrual cycle and reproduction, which is where we can start to have really severe PMS issues, feeling really moody, having cycle irregularities, like longer periods, longer cycles, missing cycles. We can feel really fatigued. And when it comes time to try for another baby, there can be some fertility challenges at play. So this is where preparing your body for another pregnancy, it's not just about the nutrition, which yes, that is so important. It's also about how much stress your body is carrying every single day and how your nervous system can handle that stress. Because you actually can increase your capacity to handle the stress that you're experiencing in a lot of ways. We can't reduce the stress load that we have as moms. However, if we don't have that capacity, if we don't have a great nervous system tolerance, it's so much harder to handle that, and that is where we start to have more of these physical symptoms. Your nervous system and your fertility are deeply connected. Now, another impact that the mental load has on us physically is that it makes rest less effective. How many times have you finally sat down on the couch, you take a deep breath, and you immediately start thinking, what should I meal plan for tomorrow? What are we going to do this summer? I need to add XYZ to the grocery list. I have that appointment next week. I got to make sure I get the kids ready for that. You start going through a mental checklist. You're physically resting, you're sitting on the couch, but mentally you're still working. Your brain is on, and it is just running through everything that you could be doing, should be doing, would be doing. Resting isn't just sitting down or lying down, but it's giving your brain permission to stop carrying everything for a few minutes. So I want to share how I started reducing the mental load after my second baby. I've shared before that after I had my second, I ran my own mineral test. It was honestly, at the time, it was the worst depletion pattern I had ever seen. And it continued to be the worst one for about 4 months afterward. And being able to see the depletion in front of me, and not only that, because the mineral test really shows us your stress patterns and your adrenal health, how your body is managing stress or not managing stress in my case. Seeing that right in front of me on paper truly was a wake-up call, and I realized I couldn't keep operating the way that I had been. And I didn't think that I was struggling. No, of course, I had 2 under 2. My body had been through a lot. I was breastfeeding when I got pregnant the second time, so I really hadn't had a break in 2 years. And at this time, I was growing my business, dealing with a lot of more like intrinsic pressure that I put on myself when you work for yourself. And my husband, right before we had that second baby, he had just had a big travel sprint with work, so then I was solo parenting for a while. My body had been through a lot. And I felt like I was managing things okay. And that's actually something that I see with a lot of moms that I work with. They tend to be maybe a little bit more of those overachievers. They feel like they can handle it all. They don't feel like they're super stressed. until we sit down and we talk about it, and they have all of these things on their plate and they're surviving. We're all surviving. We're not really thriving. So seeing my own results, total wake-up call. And I realized that I could not keep operating the way that I had been, especially now that I had 2 kids. I knew I wanted more, and I knew something needed to change. And so that actually led me to hire a nervous system coach, Emily Judy's. She was fabulous. She works specifically with female entrepreneurs and business owners. And the work that I did with her completely changed how I viewed stress and regulation and the mental load. And it's become a huge part of what I now teach moms inside of Nourished Moms Collective. Because if we can't get our stress and our nervous system into a good place, we're not that happy, fun mom that we all want to be. And we're not that healthy mom that has energy to chase our kids around, that has a regular menstrual cycle, that can easily get pregnant when we feel like we're ready to. So these are a few of the strategies that worked for me. The first was to truly get all my thoughts out of my head. And that, for me, was doing a brain dump in my journal, where I would just write, and not even complete sentences. I would just write all the things that came to my brain, set a timer, 10, 15 minutes, just write everything out. If a to-do list item pops out, put it down, write it down. Whatever comes to your mind, just get it out, write it on paper. Another thing that I've actually tried a few times, and my husband does this really well. If you don't want to be writing, or this might be funny in this case, my husband actually has a job where he can't talk about what goes on at work. And so sometimes for him to journal, he'll actually just draw like squiggly lines as if you're writing. But you think about all those things going on in your brain and you write it out, is a squiggly line or whatever that may be. Write it out. It actually goes a lot quicker that way if you're not writing complete, full thoughts. You can write out those squiggly lines. You're still getting it out of your mind, which is fabulous. Another one, I've put this in my notes app. If I need to schedule things, I will put it in the planner so that I don't have it taking up space in my mind. I'll put it on my calendar on my phone. Another thing that I've even done is just turn on my voice recordings and just talk it out. All of the thoughts that I have in my mind, I just talk it out. A little bit of talk therapy without actually talking to someone about it, but just getting it out of your mind. You do not have to be organized. This is just to reduce your cognitive load and to stop carrying everything mentally, and it actually has a huge impact. Now, my second strategy that I started implementing was creating more family systems. One of the biggest things for us was meal planning, and we really had gotten behind on that. And this is not something you have to do perfectly. It's not something I even do every single week now. We have a little bit of a system in play, which I'll talk about. But the weeks that we do meal plan, everything runs a little bit smoother. So we like to do theme nights. It keeps it nice and simple. And what I originally did is I wrote a list of my family's favorite meals, my favorite pasta meals, our favorite meals that had ground beef, our favorite chicken meals, our favorite Mexican taco type meals, our favorite Asian style meals. And then if there were any others that we liked that didn't fit into a particular category, I wrote a list of all of those. And then we have a theme night each week, where Monday we would do more of a pasta Italian night. Tuesday would be Taco Tuesday, where we would do some type of Mexican type dish. Wednesday would be our super easy night, where we used like a pre-type of carb day for myself and my husband. Thursdays would be an Asian night, where we do one of those recipes. Friday would be where we would do takeout or go out to eat. And then Saturday was a free night, where we would pick one of the other recipes that sounded good. And this became super easy because now I have a list of all of my family's favorite recipes in those specific categories, and then we would just pick and choose each week. And a lot of them would have the same ingredients. I'm buying potatoes, I'm buying rice, I'm buying higher protein pasta every week. And then we were mix and matching. Was it going to be with chicken? Was it going to be with ground beef? Does it fit on our Asian night? Does it fit on our Mexican night? Anything like that. It got super easy and convenient. I also started a shared grocery list in the Notes app with my husband. So every time one of us thought of something we need to add to the grocery list, we just immediately put it on the list, which made a huge difference when it came to actually remembering those random funny things that you think about in the moment, but you don't always remember it when you're at the store. So for example, if we're getting low on toothpaste, one of us would just add it to the list so it'd be ready for grocery shopping that weekend. I also really started utilizing grocery delivery. That became super convenient because all of my most purchased items stay right there in the app, and I easily can add them again week after week. There was less decision fatigue overall, less mental clutter, and truly I was thinking about it a lot less. The third thing that I started doing to decrease the mental load was implementing tiny moments of regulation. And this doesn't have to be complicated at all. You don't have to meditate for 15 minutes a day. But making sure I was up at least 5 minutes before my kids, if not 15 to 30, to go down and have my mineral mocktail and just sit in the silence and take a few deep breaths and try to just clear my mind. That set the tone for my entire day, and it still does. Other examples include having really intentional prayer, journaling, doing deep breath work, which I try to do every morning before even getting out of bed. I try to do some deep breathing while I'm still laying there waking up. Doing silent walks, that was a big one that my coach loved, and I loved it for a time. It's gotten harder now in this third pregnancy with the heat. But picking 2 or 3 tiny things that you can do, pick one for the morning, one for the afternoon, maybe you have an evening one. Building in those small moments of regulation in some way that you can be consistent is what's going to continue to signal safety to your nervous system and reduce your mental load. And then the last main thing that I started doing was supporting my body like I was someone under a lot of stress, because I was, and you are too if you are a mom. This is where you need to be prioritizing your mineral replenishment. You need to be prioritizing getting enough protein in. When I worked at the hospital, anyone who was critically injured, recovering from surgery, anything like that, their protein needs were a lot higher. We had to make sure they're drinking their protein shakes. Now, you don't need to be drinking a protein shake every single day as a mom, but you have a lot of recovery, even if you are 2 years postpartum. If you are not hypervigilant in those early postpartum months and year, you still have a lot of recovery that needs to take place. So prioritizing your protein, prioritizing your minerals, your hydration at that cellular level, supporting your blood sugar balance. Whether you've dealt with insulin issues or not, this should be critical for everyone because it directly impacts your hormones. If you're planning for another pregnancy someday, all of this is supporting your fertility too. And we can't remove every stressor in our life, but you can build a body that's resilient to stress. And that starts with giving your body the resources that it needs to function optimally. That's your minerals, that's your protein, that's your blood sugar balance, that's being hydrated. So start supporting your body like you are under stress, because you are. And then if I didn't talk about this with the mental load, I feel like it just wouldn't be a complete episode. But as mothers, we were never supposed to carry it all. And unfortunately, modern motherhood often expects us to remember everything, coordinate everything, anticipate everything, and manage every little detail about our family. But historically, mothers had villages, literally and figuratively, extended family, built-in support systems, and many moms today don't have that. And if that's you, I want you to know that even if you don't have the village that you hoped for, regulating your nervous system can make a tremendous difference. And it's one of those things that helped me the most. When your nervous system feels safe, your brain literally feels quieter. And you're still going to have the responsibilities. You're still going to have your kids to take care of and the things that you need to remember. But it no longer will feel like your brain is carrying the entire world all at once. And if you can, ask for help. Don't be afraid to reach out and to cultivate a little bit of a village around you. We are carrying a workload that we were not designed to carry alone. So if you have been feeling exhausted, overstimulated, irritable, anxious, like your brain just never shuts off, this is your body responding exactly how a body responds when it is carrying so much for so long. And you don't need to become superhuman to handle it all, but you need to create enough support in your body that your body no longer has to operate in survival mode. We do this in Nourish Moms Collective, and we have a new membership coming out that has a lot of nervous system supporting resources. You can check that out at nourishmomscollective.com. But share this episode with a mom who always says, "Oh, I'm just tired," because she might be carrying a lot more than she realizes, and it might just be a little bit more than being tired. Next week, I am diving into details on my third pregnancy, specifically what I did leading up to a third pregnancy that has actually helped me feel so much better in this third one compared to my second one. So stay tuned.